You open Netflix, or YouTube, or maybe an old folder on your laptop. Hundreds of movies are available. Thousands, actually. New stories, new plots, new characters waiting to surprise you. And yet, somehow your finger moves toward the same movie you have already seen. Not once, not twice, maybe 10 times. You already know the ending. You know the twists. You can practically quote half the dialogue before the characters say it. But still, you press play. And if someone walks into the room and notices what you are watching, they might say something like, "You're watching that again?" It sounds like a joke, but hidden inside that question is a quiet assumption that rewatching the same movie over and over is strange, maybe even boring. After all, the whole point of stories is surprise, right? Discovery, something new. But here's the interesting twist. Psychologically speaking, the brain often prefers the familiar over the new, and people who rewatch the same movies repeatedly are not doing something weird at all. In fact, they may be revealing something very deep about how the human mind handles emotion, stress, memory, and comfort. Let me show you what is actually happening inside your brain when you press play on that movie you have already watched 100 times. Imagine your brain like a prediction machine. At every moment, it is trying to guess what will happen next. This ability helped our ancestors survive. If you could predict danger before it arrived, you had a better chance of staying alive. But prediction does not only apply to danger, it applies to everything. Conversations, traffic, social situations, and yes, even movies. When you watch a movie for the first time, your brain works hard. It analyzes every scene, every character, every little clue in the story. Your brain is constantly asking, what happens next? That process is exciting, but it is also mentally demanding. Now compare that to watching a movie you already know. Your brain relaxes. The uncertainty disappears. You already understand the world of the story. The characters feel familiar. The emotional journey is predictable. And predictability, surprisingly, feels safe. Psychologists sometimes refer to this as cognitive ease. When your brain does not have to struggle to process information, it enters a calmer state, less tension, less mental effort. Think about it like visiting your childhood home. You know where everything is. The rooms, the smells, the feeling of the place. Your body relaxes because nothing there is unfamiliar. A familiar movie works the same way. But the comfort goes even deeper than that. Think about the emotional experience of a story. Movies are emotional roller coasters. Joy, sadness, tension, fear, relief. When you watch a movie for the first time, those emotions can hit unexpectedly. But when you rewatch a movie, you know exactly when those emotions are coming. You know when the sad scene will arrive. You know when the hero finally wins. You know when the music swells and everything turns out okay. And that knowledge changes the experience. Instead of feeling overwhelmed by emotion, your brain experiences something closer to emotional anticipation. It's like listening to your favorite song. The moment before the chorus arrives can feel almost magical because you know exactly what is about to happen. Your brain starts releasing dopamine even before the moment arrives. So when someone rewatches the same movie again and again, they're not just repeating a story. They're revisiting a known emotional journey. A journey where every feeling is safe because the ending is already known. And that brings us to another powerful psychological reason people do this: control. Life is unpredictable. Conversations go wrong. Plans fall apart. Stress appears where you didn't expect it. The real world rarely follows a script, but movies do. When you rewatch a movie, the story behaves exactly the same way every single time. The same scenes unfold in the same order. The same emotional beats happen again and again. That kind of stability can feel incredibly comforting, especially during stressful periods. In fact, some researchers believe that people are more likely to rewatch familiar shows and movies when they feel anxious or overwhelmed. Your brain is essentially saying, I need something predictable right now. And the familiar movie answers that need. You already trust it. It has already guided you through an emotional story once before. Watching it again feels like returning to a place that has proven itself safe. But there's another layer that makes this behavior even more fascinating: memory. Movies are not just stories. They become time capsules for moments in your life. Maybe you watched a certain film during childhood with your family. Maybe another movie reminds you of late nights with friends, or a particular relationship, or a specific period in your life. When you rewatch that movie, you're not only watching the story on the screen, you're reconnecting with the version of yourself who watched it before. Your brain links experiences together through association. The music, the characters, the scenes, all of it becomes connected to personal memories. So when someone says, I love rewatching this movie, they might be really saying something deeper. I love revisiting the version of myself who existed when I first saw it. It becomes nostalgia. And nostalgia is powerful. Studies in psychology have shown that nostalgic experiences can increase feelings of meaning, belonging, and emotional warmth. That old movie is not just entertainment anymore. It becomes emotional glue connecting your past and present. But here's another fascinating twist. Rewatching a movie can actually change what you notice about it. The first time you watch a story, your attention is focused on the big picture. Who are these characters? What is the plot? What happens next? But on the second or third viewing, something interesting happens. Because you already know the story, your brain begins noticing details that were invisible before. Tiny expressions on a character's face, background clues, subtle lines of dialogue that foreshadow future events. It's almost like looking at the same painting multiple times and discovering new details hidden inside it. The movie itself didn't change, but your perception did. And that discovery process can be deeply satisfying. You begin to appreciate the craft behind the story, the writing, the music, the acting, the small emotional moments that felt invisible during the first viewing. So rewatching a movie is not always about repeating the same experience. Sometimes it's about uncovering layers you missed before. But there's one more psychological layer that explains why some people do this more than others: personality. Some people have a stronger need for novelty. They crave new experiences constantly, new places, new foods, new stories. Other people lean more towards familiarity. They enjoy returning to experiences that feel known and comforting. Neither tendency is better than the other. They're simply different ways the brain seeks satisfaction. If you're someone who loves rewatching movies, your brain might simply be wired to value emotional familiarity more than constant novelty. And that is not a flaw. In fact, there's something quietly beautiful about it, because it means you recognize the emotional richness inside something that others might dismiss as repetitive. You're not just consuming stories, you're forming relationships with them. Think about your favorite movie. Really picture it for a moment. There are probably scenes that feel almost sacred to you, moments that still give you chills even after multiple viewings. The hero standing up after failure, the quiet conversation that changes everything, the final scene where the music rises and the story closes perfectly. Those moments stay with you, and every time you return to that movie, it's like visiting an old friend. You know the conversation already, but that doesn't make it meaningless. If anything, it makes the experience deeper. Because familiarity does something interesting to emotion. It softens the noise of distraction and allows you to feel the story more fully. And maybe that's the real reason people rewatch movies. Not boredom, not lack of options, but emotional resonance. The same reason we reread favorite books. The same reason we listen to the same songs again and again. Some experiences are simply worth revisiting. So the next time someone jokes about you watching the same movie for the 10th time, you can smile a little. Because what they see as repetition might actually be something much richer. A ritual of comfort, a doorway to memory, a familiar emotional landscape your brain knows how to navigate. And in a world that constantly pushes us towards the new, there's something quietly powerful about returning to what already feels meaningful. Now I'm curious about you. What is that one movie you could watch over and over without getting tired of it? The one that somehow still feels special every time?